Awesome. Okay, so like I was saying, my name is Eduardo, and I'm going to be walking you through the process of creating content syndication in a structured web platform. Um, so for starters, with content syndication, you have the ability to provide partners with a quick and easy way to display content on their existing website. Um, this way, partners are guaranteed to have up-to-date solutions automatically. We've actually made major improvements in how we cater content syndication to our partners. And this way, we can walk you through the process of actually creating the content and managing it for all your different partners. So basically, let me walk you through today's training's agenda. We're going to be covering the basics of content syndication and the creating process of the content syndication. Also, going through campaign overview and all the different views you have and ways to edit said campaigns. Also, we're going to be covering basic domains as well as all the different themes you can apply. The sitemap and adding of new pages to the content syndication you create, as well as activating and our cool new feature we have of actually updating all content syndication throughout the different accounts that are made available to it. So we're going to be covering a lot. So I'm just going to take it slow because it's a fairly new process, but it's really cool and really simple for new users to actually jump in and create their own content syndication. So let me just close this out and jump straight in. Okay, so basically, let's just walk through the initial program manager scope. So basically, when we log into the program manager scope of the platform, this is the view we're gonna have. To actually create our content syndication, we'll want to go to content manager. So it's just a different scope inside the platform, and we can do so by clicking the top right and going where it says content manager right here. And we're gonna want to select content syndication as the tab. Okay. So basically, for starters, we're, we're gonna click on new content syndication, and this will just prompt us with basic information such as name, description, and we can select any attributes that may apply to the specific campaign. So for the purpose of this training, let me just click on test website content syndication and test. We have the ability to actually select thumbnails, the thumbnail image for the specific content syndication, as well for the thumbnail image that will be displayed on the library, and the different attributes that may apply to the content syndication. So let's just go ahead and leave those blank for now and click on save. Okay, so now we enter what we call a campaign overview. In the campaign overview is where you are able to create the content for each overview page. On here, you're able to learn more about the specific content syndication that you selected, as well as providing partners with basically context and background information for what they're seeing or what they're going to use. Most importantly, I would say the part of the overview is that partners are able to access the iframe code for the specific I'm sorry, content syndication. As you may know, the iframe code is basically how partners are able to place what we're working on the respective websites.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for starters, we have the ability to update the preview URL that is actually displayed on the library. So, for example, if we were browsing a specific partner account and we go to the library and we click on content syndication, this preview link would be the one that's actually displayed in the library for them. So let's just write, for example, account dot structured. Wow, can't even spell structured web. Structuredweb.com, followed by the fully customizable content of the overview page. So basically, we can go ahead and customize any part of the overview that we are seeing right now. By clicking on it, we're able to fully customize it, as well as we have full HTML support. So if you or anyone else has the capability of actually handle HTML, you can completely revamp what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
Uh, Basically, below the description is where we can modify the iframe codes. And it's as simple as to activating the actual iframe code. You just need to click on the activate box right here, and it'll automatically activate iframe 1 as it's selected right there. You can go ahead and change the height, the width, and even the page it directs to. And a cool new feature is that we can actually activate more than one iframe. So for example, we can click on iframe 2 and we can have this iframe take us to a different page in our specific website content syndication. For example, the contact us page, and we can set the height and oh, I think my keyboard, oh, there we go, and width to be set to whatever we want. So
what would be the case for activating more than one? I guess I'm not following how that would be.
okay, so basically, as how I see it, is just it's a way to facilitate um, partners, redirect them straight to where you want them to have to be at, I'm sorry, at the content syndication. For example, I've seen some cases where content syndication is more than one page or spread out to different pages. So basically, just providing different iframe codes could serve as a shortcut for partners to just jump straight to the page you want them to go, such as the contact us page, which is a page that people visit frequently, instead of having them go through the whole process of going through home and having to scroll through the different pages you create. It's not like widely used, but I just see it as a cool new feature just to jump some hoops and get to X place faster.
Okay, great. Thanks for explaining.
Awesome. Okay, so basically, once we're done, we just have to remember to click our friendly update description or save button, and this will just basically guarantee our work is saved. Next on our list is covering domains. So the domain section basically allows us to modify the domain in which our content syndication displays. By default, this will be automatically set to copy the content syndication into your account. You only need to modify the domain if you want, for example, pages, specific pages of the content syndication to be hosted elsewhere, such as a subdomain on your existing website. Um, if that's the case, you would have to contact your registrar and have them point the domain to our platform, and you can see basically a set of instructions that can be taken or given to the registrar to have that domain pointed at us. Other than that, we have the option to actually add your own domain. So, for example, we see that the domain is already, I've already selected a domain because of the test account. So we can just have um, partner name dot at workwith.com. And once the domain has been added, you can apply the content syndication to display there by selecting the domain from the dropdown as I just did and clicking update select the domain. Other than that, we have the domain name template. So this can be tricky at first, uh, usually our rule of thumb is basically having www.wcs at vendor name, and that would basically be, I mean, partner name, and that would basically be the name of the account that's being used. I don't know.
Hmm.
Sorry, my keyboard is all messed up. One second. So it would be the partner name that would be the account that it's being used, followed by, at this case, dot at workweb.com. This format just basically allows that merge field to just populate the name of the specific partner that is using this content syndication, and it's just a more organized and better way to have domain templates set.
Right.
So as you
The
can see,
our
yeah, I'm
that
sorry. Go
would
ahead.
be replaced by our specific domain.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
And
As
we do this one time at setup, right? Partners don't have to do these steps that you're showing here.
Exactly. That's basically the purpose of this step, is for the merge field just to populate the partner's name and having them removed from the experience of actually having to set it up themselves, because as you know, that may be where trouble arises in the future if partners have to um, wiggle around the system when it comes to domains. It can get a little tricky.
Right, right. Okay.
Um, Awesome. So basically, you can see here an example as well. So in the future, if you need reference, I do have a support article that's basically covering most of what I'm saying right now, that I can have brought to you after the training. I know it can be a little much, but there's also an example. We try to include as many examples through the process as we can to facilitate vendors in the process of actually creating domains. So you can see an example of what I was referring to right now. Like I said, our rule of thumb basically is keeping www.wcs.partner name, and then the vendor site followed by that. So once we're done, we click on update name template, and that's that. And then we're moving on to themes. Oh, I have to attach it to the domain. Okay. So what you saw there is a good example of of me having skipped a step. So you have to always make sure to click on those update selected domains and save buttons when prompted to, because it can really screw up the process in the long run. So when we get to themes, themes is basically self-explanatory. It just allows us to define the elements or the different pages of the content. Because of this testing training purposes, I mean, we're just gonna keep themes simple enough. Just as a reminder, you can change the theme at any given moment just by clicking change theme and selecting any one of the themes. We're just gonna keep it on a blank theme for the purpose of this training. I do believe we have the options of actually creating or editing your own themes. Uh, I would. I'm not entirely sure how that works as of now. I'm sure we can get you the information if you ever need that information in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I don't know if you have. I'm going too fast. Do you have any questions for me?
No, this is great.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome. Um, Next step would be our sitemap. So basically, a sitemap is when you add all the pages and forms that make up the actual content syndication. Uh, we would click on new content and just actually click if you want a page or a form. So let's just click on adding a new form and calling it home. This is a good step to, when we're choosing the levels of our pages or forms. It's always good to know that if it's a parent page, it has to be top level. This basically means that it's going to be the first page that points to the website. If you want a sub page, you can go. Well, we don't have the option to actually have a sub page right now because we only have one page created. So, for example, if I try to click another form and call it contact us, we're actually giving the option to have it as a sub page of home or creating a new top level page completely independent. So let's just create a new top level page, and you can see we have both home and contact us as top level pages on our content syndication. Once the pages have been added to the sitemap, it's as simple as clicking on the name of the page to edit it. For example, clicking on home. And this just basically takes us to our familiar form editing interface in which you can edit the fields and the content that the actual form contains. It's good to keep in mind that if you want to actually go back to the content manager and the content syndication page, you have to click on sitemap and it'll just bring us right back. I don't know if they plan to modify that in the future. I brought it up to our design team. It does seem a little confusing on my end. It's not really clear how to get back, and I've had different vendor and partners bring it up actually because I don't think it's very
Intuitive. Right.
intuitive. Exactly. I think the plan is to change it to something like back to content syndication page, but for the time being, just keep in mind that if you want to go back, the actual breadcrumb is clicking on sitemap and it'll take us right back.
Great.
Okay. Um, so content syndication also allows us to make different pages or elements of the page visible or not visible for partners. So if we click on visible here to the right, we're going to be giving the option of actually making specific pages or forms visible or not visible to different accounts. So I don't know why. I think it's my computer, but I think there should be a checked box, like the actual outline of a box. Right now, I'm hovering over it and I don't actually see it. But if you click on, it's kind of counterintuitive. But if you actually click on the check or the X, it'll make that specific form or page visible or not visible for the different partners that are actually subscribed or that had this content has been made available to. So some of the uses of this feature might be that you're have a work in progress page and you just don't want that specific page to be made visible to a partner. So you can actually control that just by clicking. It's really strange why the little box is not popping up, but it allows you to actually click on it.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, I believe the next step would be actually activating. So let's just say we're done with what we wanted to achieve. We're comfortable with the pages and the forms we've created. So now comes the part of actually activating said content syndication. Uh, so when we're done and we actually want to activate it, we're gonna want to go to settings. Once in settings, it'll prompt you like other campaigns that I'm sure you're familiar with. Just to prompt if you want this content made available to pulling for the library. So we can click on yes, and different messages will appear, such as the time period you want to make it available, the campaigns or the different attributes that you want to control. So once we're comfortable with activating said campaign, just make sure to click on save, and that'll be that. That specific content syndication will be made available to the libraries of the partners you choose.
Where do I choose which partners? How does that work? Or is it by program or?
Yeah, it is by program. Um, as you can see, it says right here what programs would you like to use this campaign in. So you can go
Gotcha.
uh
I just missed that
exactly,
piece. That makes sense.
exactly. Um, so the cool feature I wanted to bring to your attention is actually updating content syndication.
Okay.
So this actually has been revamped, and it's made much easier for us as vendors to actually provide partners with up-to-date content, have the actual content syndication. So it's just over time, vendors are gonna want to update their content syndication and have partners promote new products, services, offers, etc. So actually, let me just go to another content syndication that I've already made available to different accounts. So as you can see here, if we go through the process of actually editing any of the previous stuff we were working on, let's say forms, or we go to the sitemap and we actually edit one of the pages and make changes to our home page, we can go to the account subscribe tab once the change has been made, and you're gonna be able to see all the different accounts and the days that the actual content syndication was activated in them, and the last date in which the content syndication was actually updated in their account. So they might be running an older version of the content syndication you'll be working on, and you can put all those partners to date just by simply going through the check mark boxes right here to the left. You have the ability to actually selecting them all by selecting the first one, or just specifically updating, let's just say test accounts, or different specific accounts that you want to have the content syndication you brought to date. So by doing so, you can just let's just run a small test. You can just simply click on one account and just click on update websites. This will automatically go through the process of actually bringing that specific account up to date. Because no changes were actually made, it still reads as out of date. But if I were to actually make a physical change, it'll read status up to date.
So it's kind of the same as pushing content, right?
Exactly. That's the thing we were aiming at, to basically automate the process and make it as simple as possible. Because in the past we would have to go specifically account by account,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
actually re-pushing the whole content syndication for that specific account, and sometimes that made problems with partners and vendors, because some of the accounts did not have the most up-to-date content, and it was understandable. So this is the solution we actually come up with.
So is there any alert that the partner receives that their subscribed content has been updated, or how does that get communicated to them?
Actually, that is an excellent question, and I'm not certain. I think there's a way for the partner to see the when the last actual push into the account was made, but I'm not sure if they get like actually notified about it. It's certainly something I can run through Greg and ask them if this is something that it's being implemented or has been implemented, and let you know.
Okay, yeah, that would be helpful because, as program manager, if I need to take that step before I push it live and give partners the opportunity to um, say yes or no, that would be good
Yes,
to.
definitely. That's a good point you have there, and I'll check on Greg with that, because I think there's a way for the partner to actually check to see when the content was pushed, but I don't know if they actually get notified about it.
Okay,
So
great. I'll just look forward to hearing back from Greg on that.
awesome. Just lastly, I know you know this about our additional help. You can reach us at any time at servicesstructureweb.com, as well as we have a 24/5 phone number. Uh, I can actually link you the support article that goes with the training I just gave you, that goes into much more detail of what we just covered right now. As well as you can reach us through chat, and I'll be here all night if you need anything else. I don't know if you have any questions, and I'm sorry if I went too fast there.
No, you were great, Eduardo. I think this was what I needed to hear. Absolutely would welcome your sharing the support article that is associated with the training. And I think this is a great overview. So thanks for stepping me through it.
Awesome. Good to hear. I think that pretty much does it for me for today. Like I said, if you need anything else, I'll be here all night. So feel free to reach out if you need any additional help or something pops up on your end.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much.
You two have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.